Artificial intelligence is my co-creator, my creative teammate. It's a way for us to kind of find our creativity, bridge the gap in terms of technology, scalability that helps us to discover a deeper meaning to what we do, no matter what industry that is.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of WIT, which is what I think. I am very excited about this episode because on the way to school, my son was talking to one of his classmates about Roblox and how he should get more Robux, more Roblox dollars to buy stuff for their avatar. And here we are. This morning, I have Olivia Lee. She's the co-founder of Livvium, who specializes in immersive commerce, the Metaverse, Web3, and she's even got her own AI agent on Telegram. Welcome, Olivia.
Hi, good morning, Derek. It's great to be here on your show today.
I'm really excited about this one. Before we start, I always ask my guests, what is your definition of artificial intelligence? So please do.
Okay, that's a great question to start. Artificial intelligence, my definition is that it is my co-creator. It is my creative teammate. And in this instance, artificial intelligence is also a pathway for me to find my co-founder, which is something that I will talk about a little bit later. I think it's a way for us to kind of find our creativity, bridge the gap in terms of technology, in terms of scalability that helps us to discover a deeper meaning to what we do, no matter what industry that is.
I love that. And we were talking a little bit about the origins of Livvium and how you have a co-founder. Tell me a little bit more about that story.
So Livvium is the name of my Metaverse consultancy. It first started when I discovered this beautiful space that we call the Metaverse. It started in 2021. Back then, I worked for a different company, and that company was investing in a lot of different alternative assets. So I came across a lot of interesting decks and stuff, and Metaverse was the very first one that I was thinking, what is this Metaverse? And at the time, I can tell you there's not a lot of reports, documents, or even thought leaders on this space. So everything was kind of left to two major thought leaders. Because of that, when I left that job, I decided to dedicate my time into discovering what is the metaverse, physically jump in, as in virtually jump in, and really explore all of these different kind of metaverse platforms, different brand activations, because back then in 2021, start of 2022, a lot of brands were investing dollars in creating all of these wonderful spaces. So I jumped in and I came up with the name Livvium, which was a kind of an extension of my name, like as an avatar to replace myself to go in. And I started to personify her, coming up with fashion, what she would be wearing, and she would be exploring all these space. And then I would be demystifying and decoding why these brands are choosing one platform over another and what does it mean to the average consumer, someone like myself. So that's kind of how Livvium came about. And over time, I've accumulated a lot of followings, people who are interested in the topic, because I think that was quite early when I started writing mostly on LinkedIn. And then it made me think, how do I kind of bridge in my 20 years of work experience and Livvium, the avatar, and it became Livvium, the consultancy. So since then, Livvium is now a AI agent, and she lives and breathes in the virtual world, currently in her first stage of birth, you can say, which is on Telegram. So you can talk to Livvium on Telegram and you can ask her questions regarding the metaverse, what kind of platforms or brand activations happening. She has her own personality, and we hope that at the later stage, she can be more autonomous in terms of processes, making decisions, even earning dollars in this ecosystem and making autonomous decisions to dress herself as well. So that's Livvium in a nutshell.
Well, that's so awesome. You can go to Phuket and sit on the beach and hang out while Livvium makes a few dollars for you.
Ideally,
right?
that is the goal.
That is the dream for some of us, at least for me. So let me ask you about the concept of digital fashion. You mentioned that with Livvium as well, and helping people with their retail or dressing herself or things like that. Tell me a little bit more about that and what immersive commerce is.
So in my explorations of the metaverse a couple of years ago, I remember I attended an event. In fact, fact, it was like a Vogue event on the metaverse. And there was a party and it was like an art gallery or something. So I took Livvium, my avatar, which was still using default clothing, what's available instantly. And I just picked an outfit and I didn't think much about it because I was still quite new to the space as I explored. So I chose a random outfit, jumped into this world, and I found myself standing among a few other avatars wearing the exact same outfit. Uh-oh. That kind of led to a thinking that despite being just a avatar in this kind of metaverse, immersive digital space, that human feeling of a bit of like embarrassment, you're caught wearing the exact same outfit as the next person, it does hit home. It does make you think a little bit, I need to dress better because people see what you wear. So even your etiquette and stuff, it is live, it is persistent, so people can see. So those things do matter. So right off the bat, because that was sort of the rise of the Web3 and NFT collectibles and all that stuff, I found myself working backwards to engage in, I suppose, crypto. So I can purchase the right kind of cryptocurrency. At that point, mostly it's Ethereum, to jump into the NFT world, to purchase one of a kind, unique clothing, such that my avatar has its own individuality and expression. So that is how I got into digital fashion. Now, to explain what digital fashion is, first of all, are you a very fashion guy? Do you play games?
Do I play games? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're playing this game. I don't know if it's age appropriate, but it's called Murder Mystery 2 on Roblox. And people can see how far your journey has come, that you're a Roblox gaming ambassador, which is pretty huge. But even on that, I'm just the guy wearing the black shirt and black pants, searching me out or finding me in that game. Like there might be like 10 other people and then you can't figure out who it's who.
I'm going to find you on Roblox. We got to play this together. But here's the thing. What you just shared with me is like people who are not using fashion to express themselves. But if we are talking about Gen Z and Gen Alpha, as you brought up about your son, they care about their personal expression. In fact, their digital life avatar means more to them than who they are in real life, which is a crazy, crazy perception. But this is really the reality we're living in. Gen Z and Alpha are digital natives. Hence, a lot of their time are spent online. They're online on integrated virtual platforms like Roblox, playing games, engaging, creating, communicating, and even shopping online. So that's kind of Roblox for you. So having said that, digital fashion, I like to think that it can break into 3 general categories. And these categories are not siloed in any way. It actually works best when they overlap. So I'm just going to give you a little bit idea of the 3 types of digital fashion. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Give it to everybody here.
Yeah. So first one, I'd like to call it in real life digital fashion. And that usually means things that have a twin and that in real life you can wear it. So that's something you can wear, touch, wash, rewash. And effectively, it is exactly what a shirt you're wearing right now. But in order for it to be a digital fashion, it may have a digital twin. And that digital twin could be a replica of the exact blue shirt you're wearing today, or it could be as simple as a digital receipt that is tied to your shirt and say on the blockchain. So it becomes a official receipt that never fades and that it can prove authenticity, such as this item is created by whichever is your favorite brand, that it can prove provenance. This shirt is indeed designed in Spain, manufactured in China, and made finishing touch in Italy. Hence, we can call it an Italian brand. So that's provenance. Or it can be used for trading. So at some point with the re-commerce, you want to resell something. So it's authenticated and it's provenance where it's from. Okay. So that's in real life digital fashion.
Got it.
So that's easiest to understand in my opinion, and probably one of my favorite now. Then second one, I'd like to call it online real life digital fashion. So that's for people who are spending a lot of the time on social media with digital presence. And that doesn't mean you have to be like on gaming. That's the third one. This is just you and I having a Facebook account, maybe TikTok account, or naturally Instagram. So anytime that we put a filter, especially if you think about it, when filters first came out, it was ways to entertain. Like the funny waggling like tongue the funny ears, that type of thing. It's sort of entertainment. But now it's become a filter that might be branded or co-created with the community, and it can be placed and imposed on your body. So that I'd like to call it online real life digital fashion. And then the last one is unreal life digital fashion. And I have also heard of bigger than life digital fashion. So that is more or less purely for your avatar. So we're talking about your Roblox avatar, maybe something that you place on Fortnite and all of that. Those are particularly on those kind of embodiment, and it could be used to help you level up. It could be used to show your identity online. So overall, I think there's three types.
That's pretty awesome. Going back to the first one, do you think that will become expected that you could acquire your digital twin in the future, like within, let's say, 5 years?
I think in Asia, we're still kind of feeling it out to see if this is necessary. But in fact, by 2030 in Europe, it is mandatory for all clothing items to have a digital twin known as a digital product passport. So that's DPP, what we call it. Digital product passport essentially is the digital twin of clothing that leaves EU as part of the last stop stamp of creation before it goes out to the rest of the world. Yeah. So by
Wow.
2030, by 2030, all of the big brands, the
Louis
luxury
Vuitton.
legacy house brands, in fact, they have all created together a consortium called Aura blockchain. And that itself is already working amongst all of the different big brands so they can come together to launch this sort of DPP. So it's already in existence. I have not bought any luxury items in a while, but when I did buy something small, I think maybe 6 months ago, it came with a digital product passport in the form of a QR code. You scan it and it is authenticated that it came from this fashion house. You purchase it on this day. This is how you wash it. So to answer your question, it is going to happen unless they have decided that they're not going to go on board with it.
Do you think people will pay, or are they charging a premium for this? Or is it like included in the price?
Oh, no, it's going to be included. There's no way they could put a premium on something that they want people to use, right? If they put a premium, that's going to prevent people from buying. So I don't think that is going to be part of the pricing strategy. However, that's from a digital product passport standpoint. But if it is a digital twin that you can use to put on yourself or on your avatar to go into, say, a different dimension, such as Roblox or Fortnite or etc., then I think is a new way to bring in revenue, new way to engage with your, say, quote unquote, younger client customers to be. So then they can premium that and put a price to that.
Well, tell me, what are the other things that AI is doing to kind of revolutionize the retail shopping experience?
Okay, I'd like to break it down into online and offline. So I'd like to go back to, say, digital fashion and what I just told you about online real life fashion, which is items that's imposed onto your body like a filter. So in the offline sense, I think the trend and what you'll be seeing is more virtual try-on mirrors as a form of engagement when one walks by the store, and it can possibly transform how you interact with your favorite brand online and offline. With offline, you'll start seeing stores that are already putting out with their smart television set, which a lot of stores do have because it's part of the hardware and it's part of the engagement nowadays. If you walk by anywhere, say, Hong Kong and Central, you'll see a lot of these LED screens or smart screens. I haven't seen it directly yet, unless it's like an up situation. But you'll start seeing when you walk by a smart screen, you'll start being able to interact with that screen in a way that has not yet really happened. So there will be a bit of a engagement. And then furthermore, there will be use for a utility, which is helping you decide what size to wear. Let me ask you this. Are you an online shopper in any shape or form?
Oh, yeah, totally. Mainly Amazon. Yeah, always buy stuff online.
Typically it's related for women. Like, we're all known to be like prolific online shopper for fashion. I am guilty of that. But put your shopping hat on. If you need to buy a new shirt for, say, a wedding or a film premiere you got to go to and you have no time and you need to buy something, right? Tell me your process and then let me kind of tell you what the trend is.
If I need something, I would go to the mall probably and go to a store and just look around.
Let's break this into two parts.
Yeah.
Let's use your film premieres type of such situations that you need to
Yeah.
dress up with a shirt, not an average teach sports shirt. So like something nice matching shirt with a tie and like, how eager are you to try on stuff? It's different for everyone. How eager are you to be spending time in a store? Or do you just go and pick up and go? Or you're going to spend like an hour there trying and discovering your style sense?
Honestly, yeah, I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 3. I'm least eager to try on something.
There you go.
Um,
You
yeah, and I think
said
most
it.
people are too.
Exactly. It takes time. It takes effort. Sometimes intimidating. Sometimes it's like you don't know what you're getting yourself into because if you go in and you make such a spectacle of trying on things and none of them really fit you and you end up just telling the salesperson like, no, sorry, or you feel pressure to buy something, right? I don't know. These are just some of the personal experience I have. I generally do not like going shopping physically in a store. I generally like online shopping for this sense. Now, imagine if you could walk by a store or walk across their outside window or even inside the store, and you imagine a LED or a smart TV that kind of scans your body. It sees exactly your height, your shoulder width, your neck, and everything, your chest, torso, etc. And then imagine instead of like you going through racks and racks of items and piecing it in your head, how am I going to do this? For a salesperson that's too eager to follow you around, but don't get to discover your personality just yet. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Imagine you can do that in the store and you can experience all of that in their store and by swiping through their catalogs and looking through what you want to wear. With a simple touch, you touch something and you can see that item super finely imposed onto your body. Perfect. And you can decide on what looks. And not only that, you can also tell you exactly what size to wear. And you can probably scan a QR code, input your credit card, etc. And then the salesperson be like, there you go, Mr. Tang. This is your item. Thank you for shopping with us today. So this is some of the trends that I foresee that's going to be happening in terms of in real life shopping with virtual try-on. That needs digital fashion. It needs to have these kind of items as a foundation, a catalog of these items for it to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing. So this is kind of jumping into this kind of immersive experience crossing over between in real life shopping and immersive commerce is one of the questions you asked me earlier, right? Now, back to the idea of a digital twin. So let's go back and use the same idea of this blue shirt. Imagine this blue shirt already has a NFC. You've already authenticated it. You've already said, whichever brand. I don't know. What brand do you shop?
I'm a big Lululemon guy.
Okay, fine. Let's use Lululemon. So imagine this like hoodie you're wearing already is from Lululemon. It has a chip already. So you've already authenticated in terms of where you've bought it, which Lululemon store, how often you've worn it, because it's already tied to your personal data to your phone. So you'll be able to track how often you wear the shirt. In fact, Lululemon is able to track how often you wear the shirt. So now we're entering this whole new world of new, real customer loyalty program, real ones, not fake one that makes you to sign up for a newsletter and keep pumping discounts at you. Okay. So every time you walk into Lululemon store, imagine that you walk in, same thing. The shirt connects with the sleeve, makes a connection, be like, hi, welcome, Mr. Ting. Thanks for coming into our Lululemon store today. That shirt that you wanted online is now in store. Would you like to try it now on the mirror or would you like to physically try it in the room? Right? So that could be one way of engaging. Secondly, be like, this Lululemon hoodie, you've worn it a total of 128 times. You have therefore saved X liters of water. Now, you truly is a loyal Lululemon fan. Because of that, we're offering you a new one. Maybe take this one off. We'll switch it for a new one at a discount. Perhaps, you want to reorder. Okay. So I'd like to think of that as the new type of engagement. So these are some of the new trends that I myself is invested in pushing out in Hong Kong and the Asia market.
I'm almost like, why isn't it there already? What are the hurdles? Is this a cultural thing or what is it?
I think it's the cost of scalability is still a lot of newness to it. And a lot of the hardwares and the funnels are not yet in place. So I think a lot of this will take time, but I'm glad for it because I'm here for the ride. I hope to be one of those consultants that's able to bridge a brand with the solutions to create a seamless experience for the customer. So this is what Livvium does as a consultancy.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, I think that leads me to another question, which is you mentioned this potential revolution, and perhaps we touched on points of that, but I wanted to hear more about what your idea is and what you wanted to say about that.
All right, so I need to share some background before I jump into it, right? So, as I mentioned to you before, I am fully committed to the idea of the metaverse. And along the way, a lot of people try to sway me out. Like, why are you still talking about the metaverse? Everyone's talking about the AI now, right? But in my opinion, I feel that AI is just a larger part of this grand ecosystem and universe that enables all of us to move a step forward, closer, whatever our goal is. So mine happens to be, I want to live in the metaverse, quote unquote, full time. So with the metaverse, as I've mentioned earlier, a lot of things are not yet there because the foundation's not there, the interoperability is not there, and it's not massively used. And the idea of decentralization, which is ownership, is also not there just yet. So then because of that, I started thinking about immersive commerce. What is immersive commerce? I like to think of immersive commerce as a 3D kind of environment for someone to shop in. So if you think about it, how we experience the internet has not really changed since the internet first came about. We're still scrolling, it's still very flat. A lot of times when we go into websites, we're still experiencing as a solo person. So you and I don't get to go to lululemon.com.hk and experience it at the same time together and seeing one another shopping in this environment. So that's sort of the underground thesis, right? So immersive commerce, I would imagine, are things that gives back ownership to the person to experience it in the way that they want to experience, not through the head designer or the graphic designer trying to lead you what they want you to experience. So in other words, they might put a hero banner, hero product to get you to click onto that item to lead you to buy your next hoodie from Lululemon. It should be you within the experience that you can experience on your own. So that's how I think of immersive commerce. I'm working towards that. I'm building a store myself for a physical t-shirt launch that I have coming out later this year. Then it led me to something new because I mentioned to you that now I have an AI agent because I am an independent consultant. I love being an independent consultant because this is the time to really be free, not be tied down to try new things because it's so exciting for me. So having said that, it is impossible to run a business and several projects on my own, right? So this is where the AI agent came in. So Livvium, as part of the team, as part of the co-founder, will help automate and help me say, find new sales leads, maybe help answer a lot of questions and make it a little bit more engaging. But realistically, it's still living in a digital space floating somewhere, right? It needs a place to live. So this leads me to what I think is my new train of thought and what I'm trying to discover for myself. So instead of using the context of shopping, flat, boring shopping experience, which is what my work does, I'm starting to look at websites in a new light. My AI agent is a more advanced chatbot, let's call it. It's not fully there. It's not fully making decisions for you right away. I mean, not all of us are at least, but it's an advanced chatbot. It needs a place to live. But the website itself is also company websites. I bet you your website, my website, is still very flat. It's not client facing. It's not engaging. We are expecting the people that come into our website to go through the flow, depending on how you did your user experience, to actively sign up for your newsletter, to actively press your Instagram and follow you on IG or LinkedIn or whatever. And it's not very interactive. So on that note, I'm starting to think on how to change my website so it becomes a working company for me, in a sense that is a 24/7 office that is working for me instead of it being that typical landing page or our online business card that we typically talk about. Does that give you a bit of some ideas on what my new train of thought is?
This is so intriguing. I mean, I think it's really making me think about one previous discussion I had was someone said that the UI is going to go away. Maybe it'll just be an avatar that you engage with. And it sounds like that's what you're building and working towards, which is, I think that's so
Thank
awesome.
you. I'm working on it. Yeah.
Another thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Metaverse was, it was definitely a hot thing. Obviously, the chatter has been gone. It's AI, AI. Everyone's talking about AI. Would you say that it's almost AI is sort of the enabler of the things that you want to do?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the idea of the metaverse would be even more obsolete without this kind of surge of AI. We definitely need AI as part of a co-creator. In my role, I definitely need AI. I use it every day. It has become something that I rely on a daily day basis, you know? So with AI, it's going to further along a lot of these metaverse talk. It's still keeping it in all of our dialogue, how we talk to other potential partners. A lot of brands, companies, platforms, including Roblox, including the sandbox, are utilizing AI as part of their creators suite. So they use it to create assets because without assets, there's nothing to deploy, nothing to play. There's a marketplace that's not going to be in place without items to be traded, right? So a lot of these platforms are using AI. On another note, even a lot of these single digital fashion houses that only focus on selling digital fashion had no choice but to step back and use AI as part of their AI technology platform to onboard more people to use it as a service before we're ready to be buying those products to be wearing on our avatar. So everything is just taking a few steps back, but building it a lot more stronger and a more effectively, efficiently, and scalable and with utility. I think that is probably the key.
I just wanted to understand, where your passion for this stuff, all of the technology stuff came from, like the metaverse. Like, were you a gamer as a kid or something? Or like, I don't know, were you a programmer? Like, where did all this come from?
Okay, that's a great question. Not a gamer, was not an engineer or anything like this. I think now that I reflect back, because I have been working for 20 some years and I know certain things that has not changed. I do love storytelling. I do love the whole overall customer experience. So that kind of falls into this thing that I studied, which was marketing. So in university, I was studying marketing. You would imagine like 20 years later, it's going to be obsolete. So because of that, I've always upgraded myself. So I was always learning the next latest thing within marketing. So what got me into the metaverse was really a few things. I saw it as a new way to marketing, storytelling, and engagement. But to answer your question, my deep love for all this stuff technology, I realized that all my life I did chase the latest technology. So whereby it was the first person, school or whatever, to have like an MP3 player that literally could only play one song because it had like 24 kilobytes or something like that, you know? I was always the first to buy new gadgets. First to buy the iPod, first to buy a lot of these things. And I'm pretty sure I was one of the first to get the iPhone before it was actually here in Hong Kong. And I realized I always like to learn by doing, and I always want to experiment things on my own. So this is why I jumped into the metaverse with no plans to start a business. It was purely just out of curiosity. I wanted to know all this talk about the metaverse platform. Why does one brand choose one over another? And why should I go on? Like I was just answering questions for myself. So it was all kind of led by curiosity. That's why I kind of narrowed down to fashion now, because after so many years working across different kind of businesses, I need to gravitate the things that excites me. So fashion's always changing. It's always evolving. So I think that's why I decided to focus primarily on fashion and the retail experience.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit of a story about myself. And the funny thing is that I worked at the Gap when I was a teenager, and one of my first jobs. It had a huge impact on me on how to talk to people and frame questions and things like that. And I'm curious, was there any point in time for you that sparked that curiosity? Were you always a curious person? Were you always very driven growing up as well?
Well, that's a good question. I also am a shop girl. So I have been working in like on the floor in clothing sales, like as one of my first jobs. So I think that's where I have the sense of customer service and the whole customer experience. Okay. But in terms of like what drives me, I'm naturally curious. I've always been curious. I think when internet first came about, discovered it right away. The minute PayPal came out, and if you imagine when PayPal came out, it's not really trustworthy. You don't know what it is. You're essentially signing with your credit card to a company. I used it right away, no hesitation. So I think I don't want to say take risk because it wasn't that risky, but I was first to try.
Mm.
And I also noticed that I've been online shopping all my life. But to me, it's not just getting that present at the door every time, the unboxing. But I like to unbox it and see how it was put together. Does it come in a nice box? Is there a tissue paper? Is there an easy return form? Is it easy to connect with the customer service? Like, actually, all along, I've always treated my personal shopping experience as a deep dive research. I didn't know that about myself, but all along, I've seen it change and evolve over time. So I think all of these years of personal experience led me to choose this path.
It's true. It seems like it became instinct in a way
Yeah.
to know where next to go.
That's why the metaverse, because the first time I saw it, I was like, yes, this is how we should be shopping and engaging. Why is it that I still don't know what size to buy and I'm buying two of every kind and I'm returning one? I know that's not good for the earth and the environment, but I have no choice because I don't know what size I am, right? So a lot of these things became problems I want to solve. And I saw that there is a gap. I saw that the technology is starting to be there, which is why I will be partnering and being a reseller of a suite of AI retail tech software. So I'm just trying to fill in the gap there.
Looking forward to that. Amazing. I feel like we could just keep talking and talking and talking, and then I would be, continuing to conclude and learn and stuff like that. But I know our time is short here. I want to ask you one final question, which I ask all my guests too, is, what can we do to empower the younger generation? What should they be doing, in this age of AI that we're heading into, the age of the metaverse and the convergence and stuff like that? If I was a high schooler, what should I be doing?
I do have a high schooler child. She's in high school. She uses AI on a day-to-day basis. She uses platforms that I haven't even really heard of or used because we're using it for different reasons, right? In this sense, I think digital native born, like my child is 16. I don't think they're going to have a problem of utilizing AI because it's already part of their kind of terminology and their expectations. And they're probably using it for schoolwork or to create something for some of those gaming platforms that they so fervently use, right? In fact, I like to turn it around and like to think that, like you said, high schoolers, they probably need to focus more on human interaction because that is not going to go away in any time soon. You still need to build rapport. You still need to build trust. There still has to be acts of empathy to learn and understand from another. So I think it's more about turning the switch and to spend more conscious effort on building relationships in real life.
Love it. Well, thanks so much for sharing your insights, Olivia, and time. I really enjoyed our conversation and hope to have you back.
Thank you so much. It was great to be on your
Show.
show.